All right, here we are again, a couple of months later, after getting the new Peterbilt. Trying to walk across the parking lot and get a shot of this pretty scenery. These are the North Carolina hills on Interstate 40 right before going to the gorge. That's which way I'm headed back home to Arkansas. The Peterbilt has been exceptionally well. I've got likes and dislikes. I'm going to talk about those once I get inside the truck. And we're going to look at the outside. Still pretty. I've got 22,000 miles on it. I haven't had one problem out of it. Well, a couple little things, but nothing really worth mentioning. It pulls like crazy. This automatic is just absolutely amazing. This is the Cummins. Don't ask me all the specs on it, but it is a freaking pulling mule, man. Even though it's an automatic, it rakes me back in my seat up and down. X15 Efficiency Series. It is just a little monster, man. This thing, I'm really impressed with it being an automatic. Most times automatics, they don't have the pull that you would think, and this one, it just over and over and over again. The body styling is beautiful. That's about all I really have to say about that. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It works beautifully. It's a little bit louder. Now, that's one of my first complaints. This whole truck is louder than the Kenworth T680. I hear the engine more. I have to turn my stereo up more to be able to hear it. I don't know if it's lack of insulation in the firewall. I've been told that they have less insulation in the firewall on the Peterbilts versus the T680s. And if that's true, then I believe it, because there is so much more in-cab noise. Now, I don't know if maybe it's because of the split between the front and back part of the cab, but it's just extremely loud. The ride is unmatched to the T680. The whole front end and the way it rides down the road, absolutely awesome. 120 gallons per side, so 240 gallon tanks. I can get right at 1,400 miles to each fill up. The stereo system, unbelievable. It's definitely a cut above the rest. I mean, if you wanted to go bigger, you could put a bigger speaker in there with a little bit bigger amp, but I mean, for full rich sound, it's awesome. Awesome having that extra sub box underneath the bunk. What else can I say good about this? I love the way it looks. I love the touches of chrome on the red on this one. No problems out of the rear suspension. Everything does as it should. The disc brakes all the way around. My goodness, what a grab. You hit the brakes a little too hard, now you'll set your seat into the glide mode where it'll rock. Well, if you have it on that, when you're in the city and you're hitting your brakes, it'll rock you forward and make you push your brake pedal a little bit harder than you would expect to. So usually when I get in the city, I'll lock the seat down. That way I can adjust the braking as needed, because it's a lot touchier. Let's go ahead and go inside so I can think a little bit. Right before I go inside, the key fob, that's pretty cool. There is a button for doing your light check. Most of your new trucks have a light check button. You push it on and the lights will flash, and then they'll go to the brights and they'll hit the brakes and all that for you. The key fob, that's what this bottom button here is for. It's so that you can actually stand here to do your check, and you click this and it'll start the cycle of running your light check. That way you can do your walk around in the morning, come out here and look cool, click that, and it turns it back off. So just a little added something where people are like, oh wow, that's awesome. So I can unlock and lock. One of the advantages to this is the fact that your keyholes won't freeze up. I've never had a problem with my keyholes freezing up because I always make sure that I keep them oiled. I put the seat down right here. One thing about the leather seats, they hold a lot of heat. So when you're sitting here, your butt will get hot. I put the extra thick towel down. That way my butt doesn't sweat as much. Morning, April. What you doing? What? You want a treat? You want a treat? Okay, I'll get her a treat and we can move on with the video. Here. Know what you want? All right. So, I've got everything set up in here now. Mirrors are set up good. I like the extra long in the corner here, and then it goes to narrow out there. It is very well shaped for being able to see everything. One thing that I did was I didn't put an eyebrow up here. No, it's not perfect. I'm not a tint man. But that really helps a lot with the fact that these are just like the T680. There's this huge gap over here, and it seems like the sun is always there. Same thing with over in this area. There's always seems to be some kind of a gap somewhere, and the tint up top really helps it out. Seating position is nice. I love all the controls on the steering wheel here. This flat plane, it is very large, so it's very comfortable to stick your whole hand and your whole arm up here for your seating. Love the floor mats. They have really done a good job of keeping the dirt from going the rest of the way into the sleeper unless you walk back there. The seat controls, the lumbar support is actually, you've got a lower one and a higher one. These seats, they actually have it up high enough to where it's at the small of your back, where most of them are all down at the bottom. And it just gets irritating to have to keep controlling that. I have had a few problems with the processor on the in-dash nav. I started saving some of my locations, and then it started not being able to complete its setup in finding a route, and it'll just shut off and reset, come back on. But it comes back on with your location saved, so you can still click it and go. The other thing I like about this truck is it's set up to where the cruise control has a memory where you can turn the truck off and 2-3 days later, whatever, get back in, and it has that memory still in there. So you can hit cruise control once you get over like 30 miles an hour, and it'll still carry you all the way up with this automatic. The steering wheel, the power steering, it's stiffer than the T680. What I like about that is that it feels more real. It doesn't feel as mechanical. You know, you're not just going to be able to just, you know, whip it in one direction or the other. It's going to feel like you're actually pushing the steering wheel around or pushing the wheels around to go in the direction that you want to go. True to form with Peterbilt, I am 6 foot. Right at 6 foot. I can stretch my foot out, and the seat's not all the way back. So I can actually get my legs almost stretched all the way out. So there's actually more leg room here in this truck than there is in the T680. These seats are actually wider than more seats, but they are more of a premium seat. All right, let's head back to the back. Sorry for the spin. I just recently got a TV. Here's the thing about this truck. You're going to lose from a condo to a mid-roof. You're going to lose, it seems like, half of your storage. Half of your storage is going away. I love the microwave shelf right here. That is freaking awesome. The inverter on this one, I don't know if it needed a bigger inverter, but this inverter, for some reason, it does not like to go over the 900 watt. I had a 1,000 watt microwave. I had to buy another microwave so that 900 watts will use it. But in order to use it, you have to leave the truck running. Truck running for the microwave, but other than that, it works with all the other outlets, the coffee pot, the TV, everything works with the battery pack. Because this truck has the battery pack. It doesn't have the actual engine run APU. So I haven't had a problem out of that, but then again, we're only a couple of months in. I don't know what the hard winter is going to prove to be too harsh. We have been told that below like 24 to 14 degrees below that to run the truck. That way we keep the fuel hot and we don't end up freezing up. That's the one setback to that. With the APU, with the engine run APU, it cycles hot water through the engine, so it's keeping everything warm, and you can actually run it to not run the truck idling into colder weather. With this one, you're just going to have to run the truck in order to not do that. Dislike, although this is a great feature, having this back here for a pocket, it takes away almost 6 inches of the bed. Your leg can fit under here, but that's it. April, my dog, she's hit her head on this several times. So this big bed, you're running out of room because of that. So it's a love-hate. You know, yes, you've got stuff there that you want to use all the time or whatever, but at the same time, it's in the way. The upper bunk, it's great, but again, you're needing to do you need storage. This is my clothes storage. This is my cleaning supplies storage. We've got a shower bag, the dog food, and then all my winter jackets and stuff like that are all in there. And really, that's what's going on with that. I mean, you have to make room. I saw another person, they did this. They put one of these little 3 things here. That is awesome. It works out great. I don't have clothes to hang, so it doesn't bother me to lose the space of the hanger up there, and gives you a little bit more room. The refrigerator is awesome. It has everything that I need in there and has enough room. I can leave the refrigerator running for a couple of days while I'm off at the house, and it won't drain the battery all the way down. Over here, I've got, this is basically, I put my water and bread and a couple other things in there. You guys saw the coffee pot. This is the only other thing, is there's no counter space. There's really no counter space. You've got this pull-out desk, that's great, but there's no counter space to set up your coffee pot. And if you noticed in the closet behind me, that's where my toaster is. I break my toaster out, set it there, plug it in. That's the only way. This didn't come with it. I set it up. I put me a command strip here so I can turn it on and off, and it's plugged into the cigarette outlet here. And then I just have the wire run up. But this makes me a little ceiling fan, so I can, and this dual fan is awesome because you can aim it at half your body here and half your body at the other end. But what I did here was I put command strips down on bottom here. That way it has a little bit of a hold. But then I took some bungees, some little bungees, and I bungeed it to the top of the counter so that way it doesn't get loose and fall off. The table here, it should have been higher up. For somebody that's probably 5 foot to 5'5", this would probably work great. But 6 foot and up, or even, you know, higher than 5'5", you're going to be slunched over to use this table. The other thing, if your legs, I don't know if you're going to be able to get this, are bigger, you're going to sit on the bed and your leg is going to end up rubbing this. There is no way around that. So that's another thing, is the space right here should have been bigger as far as I'm concerned. I don't know who they were using to measure this out, but it wasn't any big people, and it's got to be able to accommodate everybody. So yes, I have space here like that, but you can't move up much. And as far as that, like I said, you have to be slunched over to use it. It's great storage in here for all your things. It opens and closes. It locks in nicely. I love the little area here for being able to put all the little random stuff and everything. I'm not big on the cup holders. To me, that was probably not a necessity. I would have liked more just flat counter space. That way you have more room to work on anything here, because that's it. You've got a hand space of counter space. That's it. Besides that, this is great, but it's a very small area to try to get into. I've got stuff that I kind of don't use up inside there. What else? Oh, another thing I found odd about this, and that is Kool-Aid. So don't think nothing of that. There's no floor lights. There's no mood lights. There's no like red lights, blue lights, nothing that you can turn on. Normally at night, I will turn on this light that's normally underneath the bunk right here to light up the floor, and I'll put the lights up front. The T680 had them. I don't know why this truck didn't have them. I don't know if they just didn't do the option, or if there is not an option. That worked out great. It was mounted over here. I wanted it mounted over there so I could have the CB slot on the left and then this more to the right, so that worked out. But with the new DOT regulations, it's not going to be mounted up there anyway. That's going to end up, well, it might be mounted up there, but it'll have to have a cradle that we can take it off and hand it to the DOT officer. That's something that's coming after next month, I believe. Starting in 2019, it's going to have to be a unit that you can take off and hand it out the door to the officer so that he can look at it and get with your company on all of that. The control center here, nicely set up. The Smart Air. Here we go. This is something that I have a little bit of a complaint about. During the summer, when it's hot, you turn on the air conditioner. The fan runs. Well, the fan runs until it gets to the temperature, but then it kicks the compressor off, but leaves the fan running. So all of the moisture that the condenser coils have captured and froze to it and stuck to get the moisture out of the air end up melting, and it pushes it right back out into everything. The problem with that is the fact that then you're cold and wet with moisture, and that's just not cool. I think the fan and everything should kick off together. That way it can run a defrost, melt off, drip out, and then turn back on. But it doesn't do that. I keep saying Let me touch one more thing on the key fob. The key fob, the clicker, it will only work if the key is off. If your truck is running, you will have to use your key manually to lock the doors. I know. I don't understand why that is either. It just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, you have to literally turn the key to the off position to use the key fob, or you have to use your key. So anyway, yeah, there goes that word. All right, this corner over here, yes, it will accommodate a 32-inch TV. Where everybody else has got 24s, that's a 32 right there on that wall. I've got it mounted. The mount, it's a bracket that normally this bracket goes right onto there like that. I've kind of got it hanging off to the left, just with 2 bolts over to the left, and that is perfect for the 34 or 32-inch TV. I don't know if a 34 would fit, if they have a 34. I never looked. But anyway, that worked out great, and the antenna is fairly well. That comes with the truck. So that's another good feature about this truck. The cab is quiet. Almost last but not least, this bed, Peterbilt boasts that this is the biggest bed in the industry. No. My Kenworth bed was bigger. Kenworth has always had the biggest bed. Twin extra long on the Kenworth T680, and this is a twin. It's a standard twin. My sheet fits on this perfectly when I first put it on. After you sleep on it, it moves around. But yeah, it fits perfectly on this. The Kenworth goes extra long all the way to the wall. This usage of space over here that you normally have at the end, yeah, that works nice. Again, another cup holder. I don't know. I don't need the cup holders. But anyway, it makes for nice to be able to just extra junk, throw it in there. Top bunk, because you don't have any space. If you had 2 people in here, this would get really cramped quick. That drops down like that. It is wonderful. But now I got to take all this stuff off. Where do I put all this stuff if somebody else was riding with me? There's not enough space for 2 people, really. You would be overly cramped, and you'd have to try to find a place for all this stuff. I mean, yes, there's the underbunk storage, but most of all this stuff's not going to fit underneath there. If you're an owner-operator and you've got tools, which I'm not an owner-operator, I'm a company driver, but I still have tools. I still have backup stuff just in case something breaks, air boots, hoses, all that kind of stuff, exhaust fixer. It just, you know, you have all that stuff underneath there. So this top bunk configuration is great if you're a solo driver and you're gonna have a guest with you every once in a long while that needs the top bunk. The sound system is great. I've got command hooks here for being able to hang stuff. Generally, I'll hang my hat, my clothes at night when I get into bed. We'll hang there. These storage spots up here, I don't really know what to put in them. They're not very big. The T680 has a bigger area where you can put your hard hat in there. Hard hat doesn't fit up front anymore. Yeah, that's it. The lights up front are very bright. The lights in back, you've got a light back there. There's no light in this corner. You've only got the light straight overhead right in the center. So this whole corner from here down is dark. The only other light you have is this one, which you can move it around and aim it where you want. But again, this is dark. The closet's dark. If you open this, you've got that light is the only light you have to shine inside of your closet here. So generally when you stand up, oh look, you're in front of the light. So you got to lean out of the way to get a little bit of light in there. Yeah, why don't I complain a little bit? I'm not trying to complain just because I'm complaining. I am very thankful for this truck. My boss bought this truck so that I could drive it, and I am so grateful for it. I mean, really. These are just little pet peeves. It's the stuff you got to get used to. Here's another thing. You're sitting on the bed. This is all the bed you have. You can't lean back because, well, you got that top bunk. If the top bunk is down, you're going to be sitting like this, trying to stay below it. There's no sitting up in the bed when the top bunk is down. But for storage, that shelf is great. Like I said, solo driver, this is pretty awesome. In a pinch, you have a top bunk. But yeah, you've got just that much space. You've got half the bed of full sit up and down space. And then the corner over there, I put a pillow over there because there's no where else to put it. Thank you for watching. I hope I answered all of your questions. I don't really know if I didn't cover anything. I'm not sure. If just put it in the comments below. Ask your question. We'll try to get a discussion going on. The dash up there, that in-dash desk, I don't use it. It's almost, it doesn't make sense. I don't need it. Maybe if I had a co-driver, that would be great. Sorry for the extra long video and all my ums, but guess that's it. Thumbs up. I mean, overall, it's an awesome truck. It just got to get used to it. That's the number one thing, is getting used to new things. to get my totes up there, I measured from the wall to the front, and then from the top all the way up to the ceiling, so that I could figure out what size totes to get when I was at the store. And that's how I was able to get those totes to fit just right, the way they are. The little one is the one that came with the truck. That's the one that was with the truck. These ones are a little bit bigger, so I went with a similar so that it would match. All right, 22,257 miles on this truck. Averaging 6.8 miles to the gallon right out the door. That's what I'm getting, 6.8. I expect over time that to be getting better. The engine, I looked into it. The first overhead is supposed to not be due for till 500,000 miles. I know PACCAR, I think it's 50,000 miles. They want you to run an overhead or it voids warranty. This one's 500,000 miles. Really good idle, all that. Yeah, I'm just trying to recap what I may or may have missed. But I gotta get on the road. Talk to you guys later. Watch some of my other videos, and maybe we'll see you out on the road. Search me, Earthscraper69. I'm all over the internet.